So I guess we move on to the next presentation first. And then so I'll give Felicia then later a chance to respond to my questions and comments or to other questions and comments from the audience. Okay, so we'll move on then to Zhang's presentation. So Zhang, one of a student here at UH, so we're very proud that she's taking part in the conference. Zhang is studying ethnomusicology in the music department at the University of Hawai'i-Mānoa here. Her current research interest is on fusion music, music transmission, and political issues in music, focused in particular on Guqin's inheritance and development. And her talk today is titled Guqin on Bilibili, Innovation and Reimagination on Traditional Chinese Instrument. So I'll turn it over to Ye then.
Thank you, Dr. Harwit. Hello, everyone. This is Zhang. The title of my paper is The Guqin on Bilibili, Influencing a Traditional Chinese Instrument in an Internet Era. The 7-string plucked zither shown here is the qin or guqin, a Chinese instrument whose history stretches over 3 millennia and traditionally has always invoked keywords such as antiquity, literati, privacy, meditation, and moral cultivation. However, the young generation in China, those born after 2000, may hold another opinion and impression of this instrument. Xiaoqing, a college student born in 2002, is an active user of the Bilibili platform who has a great interest in traditional Chinese culture and has watched the popular Guqin videos extensively. She describes the modern Guqin music appearing on Bilibili with words such as powerful, exciting, cool, and displaying both passion and highly developed technique. The Guqin has experienced an unexpected rise in popularity after numerous videos of modernized performances were uploaded to Bilibili starting in 2019. Bilibili.com is the leading popular online media platform used by most of the young generation in China. The company notes that 82% of users are Gen Z individuals and claims that its mission is to enrich the everyday life of young generations in China. Bilibili is known for its video commenting feature, 弹幕, or bullet screen comment. Users can make a quick comment at a particular moment during the video to express thoughts immediately. The comments will shoot from the side of the screen, covering the video content like bullets. Chinese traditional culture is today one of the most popular sub-areas on Bilibili and features representative symbols such as traditional Chinese costume, instruments, dance, and poetry. Creative videos of Guqin performance appearing on Bilibili, however, indicate a developing youth identity wherein Bilibili's young audience is taking these iconic symbols of tradition and using them in non-traditional ways, such as fusing pop culture elements, collaborating with and playing arrangements of the theme songs that appear in contemporary popular TV series. This reformulation of tradition has led to a revival of interest in Guqin and a newfound popularity that has attracted the largest number of young audiences in history. This paper explores the widespread acceptance of Guqin performance among youth active on Bilibili platform and the transformation of Guqin in the era of the internet, both in the ideologies surrounding the instrument and in its relevance within the context of social economic forces and politics in contemporary China. In presenting this new venue for Guqin performance, I argue that Bilibili not only changes accessibility to what was previously a musical instrument of the elite, but this opening of accessibility also effectuates a change in ideology on the part of performer and audience. This change merits scholarly attention and reflection on the procedures and effects of digital music interaction and on how the broad expanse of internet viewing and learning can effect a major shift in the cultural confidence and pride of youth. Through Bilibili, youth of all backgrounds can take a symbol of traditional culture as part of their contemporary expression of identity and move beyond the confines of age and social status to give voice to a new generation. I would like to turn your attention to a video clip that presents two constructive ways of interpreting Guqin music today. The first is a traditional performance of a classic composition, and the second is an example of a modern composition posted on Bilibili. In 2005, Liu Chenghua, a Chinese scholar of aesthetics and Guqin art, compared the literati qin or Wenren qin of the 3rd century BCE to the 6th century CE with the artist qin or Yiren qin that dominated during the next 4 centuries of the Sui and Tang dynasties. Liu outlines the differences of those two types of qin musicians as we see here. The literati category stresses the development of and focus on the interior world of the individual musician, while the artist category concerned the external world of music and audience interaction. Yang in 2009 echoes this, but adds that from the 6th century until the 20th century, the two categories merged. Qin players recognized an importance of the both ideologies. In other words, these two ideologies interacted and influenced each other during many centuries of Chinese history. Yang writes, quote, musicians of the literati Qin tradition, though they continued to stress playing for oneself, paid attention to the technical aspects of performance, and musicians of the artist Qin tradition, while playing for an audience, recognized for the importance of literati meaning of the music and self-cultivation, unquote. The innovative use of Guqin seen here represents a newly formed ideology of Guqin musicians engaged on social media in this digital era. In this creative and wide open age of the internet, there is no longer a binary model that can be applied. The performances of innovative Guqin players on Bilibili necessitate a third category, what I call the influencers team or 愚人team in Chinese. This new category describes a recent type of prominent Qin music and new ways of viewing the instrument. This is an ideology of Qin playing created and performed by influencers who can be either amateurs or professional Qin players. The influencer here is not only a name we call someone who is able to attract many viewers on social media platforms, but one who assumes a prominent role and deeper purpose in shaping culture. This name conveys two meanings. One is a change in the dominant function of entertainment, which is 愚人 or literally entertainer. The other meaning of this name reflects that the role of influencers Qin is to inspire people to recognize, learn, listen, and take interest in the Qin instrument and its music. I summarize here the characteristics of this influences ideology in both performance and artistic and social goals. The musician in the influences Qin tradition first stresses playing for the public, and in this case, emphasizes large numbers of listeners. Second, it stresses communicating to and resonating with audiences, in particular the young generation, but without emphasis on personal aesthetics. Third, it stresses the quality of music videos both visually and acoustically because the videos released on social media must provide not only a feast for ears but also the eyes. Fourth, it pursues creativity and innovation in music. For example, a new Guqin treatment known as 移植曲 or arrangement has expanded Guqin repertoire and encouraged the people to explore more variations of known compositions. From the top 10 hottest Guqin videos on Bilibili, 6 of them are arrangements from Chinese historical drama TV series. The most popular one is the arrangement of the piece The Longest Day in Chang'an Fantasy, which is the theme song from the hit Chinese drama The Longest Day in Chang'an, which has gained over 2 million views. Influences Qin also stresses the Qin as essentially an instrument for listening and enjoyment. It celebrates the pleasure and emotions of performance rather than the details of performing. I want to share a video clip of ensemble performance The Longest Day in Chang'an Fantasy, created by most representative and successful Guqin channel on Bilibili called Guqin Clinic. Their costumes, makeup, and hairstyles all seek to reproduce the distinctive fashions of the Tang Dynasty. Guqin Clinic is a Shanghai-based studio founded in 2014. Its members have been using Guqin to perform modern hit compositions, including the theme songs from the British TV series Sherlock, Japanese anime drama, and the Chinese historical drama series. Quote, "We want to create within our power a visual effect that suits the style and conception of the piece we play," unquote, says Tang Bin, the artistic director of the studio, who also played Guqin professionally for 15 years and is responsible for most of the musical arrangements. The manager of the studio, Julie Yue, stresses, quote, "The key for Guqin to be passed down in a sustainable way is to grow its fan base, getting more people interested in the Asian art. The more diverse the ways we use to approach it, the more fascinating it will be," unquote. In the 20th century, social political challenges such as Cultural Revolution and the impact of foreign culture with the reform and opening policy in China left Guqin and its music in an endangered place. With a rapidly flourishing market economy and the development of the internet and emergent media platforms, however, the Guqin has re-emerged in full public sight since the beginning of the 21st century. This re-envisioning of the instrument occurred simultaneously with the selection of Guqin as an intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO in 2003 and its highlighted performance in the 2008 Beijing Olympics opening ceremony, which featured it as a cultural symbol of Chinese identity. It has subsequently gradually received the official support from the government. The gained confidence of nationality appealed to youth who were starting to recognize more and more the traditional culture of their own country. However, traditional Guqin music, and particularly in its age and its ideology of elitism and serious high art, seems distant from and distracted by this fast-paced society, with its demand for immediately appealing entertainment. Thus, when the creative musicians of Influences team emerged, their efforts rapidly met the need for traditionally inspired entertainment under a changing social and economic environment in contemporary China. Moreover, as young people today grow up in a world saturated with digital media, the innovative Guqin videos are also the production of youth identity in the Bilibili community. In conclusion, modernized Guqin music and the creative videos of its performance on Bilibili opens a window onto the possibilities of innovation, inheritance, and development in this continued internet-dominated era, as well as the direct effect of digital space on the music itself and its audience. On one hand, Bilibili represents the musician's response to the changing times. On the other hand, Bilibili also lays open to view the audience's expectations of what they need in a contemporary sonic world where literati and artists make way for the influences idea to engage with new imaginings of musical function, content, performances, and aesthetics. Thank you so much.
Good. Yeah, that's a for a very nice presentation. Yeah, good. Okay, so I just again have a couple of minutes to give some comments. So I'm wondering. So it's very heartening, I think, to see that the medium of Bilibili is maybe reawakening interest, at least online, in the Guqin. I'm wondering, maybe outside of the digital world, do you see? I don't know if there are any kind of information on this, like more popular stage performances. I mean, obviously with the pandemic, it's probably fewer of those kind of theatrical performances. But I'm wondering if they're, in the physical world, whether it's also had that kind of effect on people's interest. Perhaps there are more schools for young children or in college where students are interested in studying Guqin, whether there might be any kind of increase in that way. Also, it's neat that you mentioned the idea of influencer, right? So in other kind of digital platforms, the influencer can be a pretty important position and actually even something rather lucrative, right? I think that some of those influencers, for example, can attract advertisements, right? And so if they do performances. So I'm wondering if the Guqin performers, or especially the influencers, can get revenue through ad payments or even any other kind of compensation, right? Because they're spending a lot of time putting together these performances. Also, does Bilibili itself benefit from these kind of performances? Do they, through advertising, I suppose, or maybe from some other way, perhaps data collecting from the audience who are posting their comments, maybe getting some idea of their own information. So those are my main comments. I guess I'm not, my background is more in kind of the business aspect, so you could see my comments are a little bit more focused on that. It may be that other members of the audience later will have specific questions related to the instrument itself or the way that it's being modernized. I thought that was a really neat part of your talk, that the kind of the modern musical compositions are being played through the Guqin, and so. Yeah, I could see. Whereas, personally, I guess I like listening to, say, Chinese opera, but probably if there were kind of a modern song that I liked and it was played through Guqin, then it'd be maybe even more attractive to me. Okay, so those are my comments then on Zhang's presentation. So then I'll give Zhang then a chance to comment, if you like, on the comments I made.
Thank you, Dr. Harwit. So the first question that you mentioned, if they have the physical like learning or teaching classes or like recital concerts, my answer is absolutely. Is this channel on Bilibili, they also have another sub channel that called 自得 Guqin Studio, that managed and performed by the same musicians and the same group. Under that channel, the videos they uploaded and performed with traditional repertoire rather than the new music. So they also create the music studio in many cities, for example, like Shanghai and Chengdu. So they actually have their own teaching studio offline. So they have students to come to the studio. And also I think they do the hybrid mood right now. But since the pandemic is almost recovered in China right now, so they actually also have the recital and the concert, the real concert right now. So the teaching and the concert also like give them the benefit, like the second question that you asked. Before that, for the platform itself, the Bilibili has a plan that called Encourage Uploader Plan. It's kind of similar like YouTube, but the difference is YouTube benefit from the advertisement, but the Bilibili, they they use their own money, the platform's money, to give to the uploaders. So it's very, very little, but it has some, yeah. It's connected to your views and your likes, and also they give some coins. It's a virtual coin, not the real core to the videos that you like. Yeah, that is the benefit plan. I hope this answered your question. Thank
Yes,
you.
yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, good. Okay, let's see. I noticed there, let's see in the chat. Oh, I see. Yeah, so you can type questions in the chat from the audience. See, I don't see any at the moment, but can we take voice questions if anybody had any voice question? Okay, there's a chat question. Okay, some from Professor Rick Tremilios. So yeah, I think everyone can see it, but I'll read it out. In the social media version of Chin Music, how much of the heritage of the literati class is part of the Bilibili consumers? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tremilios. Thanks for coming. So I think the literati team, it's kind of linked to the older people, right? So the Bilibili platform is mainly open to the young generations in China. Like I said, 82% of the users are Gen Z individuals. So it's kind of like most of the young generation watch this Bilibili platform and use this. So the literati, but they also, like I said, they also have the traditional repertoire, like rather than the new music. So from the top 10 popular Guqin videos on Bilibili, there is one titled with "Listen to Real Guqin Music." That one is played by a famous Guqin master, played in a real traditional way. I think it's literati Qing. Also gained like 1 million views. So this classic performance also linked and shown under the modernized Guqin video, which means if the audience, even the young generations, they interested in this instrument and want to know more about its history, its story, and its sound played in a traditional way, people will click into the video and check it out. I think, yeah, so that's what I said. It's also led to a Guqin revival. It's not only like new music, but also the traditional music. So I believe the young generations, they also interested in the literati, but it's kind of like a small part. Yeah, not like a large population. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Other comments or questions? Some questions in the chat then. First, there's a couple of questions to Ye. Let me maybe read the first one from Andrew Gumatao. So is there any significance in the video presentation use of attire, for example? And then he writes, I noticed that the traditional is more stationary versus the modern, which is cinematically active. So yeah, why don't we address that question first?
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for your question. But can you like more specifically say your question? I didn't really understand. Sorry.
Let's see. So does Mr. Gumatao want to? I guess if it's okay to do voice for, or unless you want to maybe just put any specific detail in the chat part. Oh, okay.
Hi, good morning, Ye. Good morning from over here. Sorry, it's pretty early here, but I just wanted to sort of comment on the visualization of, especially as you're focused on the sort of online world of the Bilibili and sort of the intentionality and sort of the accompanying, cultural material, that's being used in the short excerpt that you played. I'm just wondering, like, is that like sort of, is there any tensions there in terms of like sort of, I guess, the traditional attire or even the combination of instruments as opposed to the the other video. Yeah, sort of just generally speaking, you know, if there's anything there. Yeah.
Oh, so do you meant to the video that they have the costumes imitate the Tang Dynasty, that one? Oh, okay. So do you mean like the costume, is there like any meaning or like why they do this kind of stuff or? Okay, so I think they do that because it's also kind of linked to the history and the cultural. So because it right now, like even especially before the 2010, I would say, hardly younger generations, they don't know what is even the Guqin is. Under the comments there, the most of the question they ask is this a Guqin or Guzheng? They can't now even like tell the differences of these two instruments. So they kind of use this kind of visual effect to appeal the audience's eyes. Yeah. So, but I didn't do the interview for this kind of questions yet. So maybe I can like draw these questions in the further interview. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Then there's another question from Benjamin Fairfield again in the chat for Gia. And so his question is: there an irony or tension in calling young people to listen to the real Qin, since the traditional performance was intimate and not for a large public audience? And then he writes: is there a sense that UNESCO is more legitimate and ethno-national than the youth-oriented, performative, commercial, social media Qin?
Okay, so the UNESCO. Thank you, Ben. But yeah. So for the like the real Qin, I don't think if they have like the irony or tension like for the young people to listen, they just really interested in like they want to know what is the real Qin sounds like. Since I said even especially the young generations, they even don't know what is the Guqin is. And for the UNESCO, the youth oriented.
Oh, the United Nations, but education, I always forget what the acronym is. Basically, for preserving the United Nations historical or important artworks.
I guess I'm getting at like that. Oh, sorry. like the tension of like the literati high class and then the sort of low class professional musician in like traditional Chinese conception of the professional musician is like not in that same category as doing it for enlightenment. Like do those divides still map out onto how people talk about the Qin today, or is that sort of lost in the mix as it just becomes a popular thing for consumption?
Okay. Yeah, so if like nobody draw this Qin to your side of the like in the screen, like no one will remember or like know this instrument, right? So and also the UNESCO, I think for the UNESCO they draw more attention to the literati and the artistic Qin, maybe. Yeah, the traditional repertoire. But for this this social media, the influencers Qin, they're more like targeted to the young generation. Yeah, so they want to make the more creative and the innovative instrument music. Thank you.
Yeah, I have actually another question for you as well. I've had students write about maybe it's not quite such a popular fad these days about what's known as the Hanfu, right? The people in China dressing up in sort of Han Dynasty or traditional kind of Han Chinese kind of costumes. And so I noticed from one of your the videos that they were wearing Tang outfits. Is there any kind of relation between those two kind of movements?
Yes, so the Hanfu is, I would say, the most popular, the traditional Chinese culture right now on the social media, not only on Bilibili, but also other platforms. So they kind of have some movements I heard. And so I think this is one of the like the strategy for them to appeal the audiences to come as well, because they're also a part of the audiences. They come from the Hanfu videos. Yeah, they are like the fans of Hanfu, so they just want to say, wow, it's kind of like have the background of the music, it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, they have some connections.
Oh, yeah, I'm just and maybe one sort of small detail question. Is there a difference between the because you mentioned they were Tang Dynasty kind of outfits. Is there a difference between like the Tang outfits and the Han outfits, or is it just kind of merged the traditional kind of costumes?
For the costumes, I don't really know much about that. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
no,
I
sure.
would say the makeup is different. They have the Tang Dynasty, their specific makeup. But the one thing I know, they invited the professional makeup, the teacher of the makeup to help them to make the the style, the hairstyle, and the makeup and the costumes. Yeah. So they invited that they paid for them. Yeah. So
Oh,
there is a professional person to do this job. Yeah.
oh, I see. So then maybe the Hanfu is more kind of informal, and at least in the makeup, whereas the Tang performances that they do are quite professionally designed. Sounds like.
Um, Sorry, what you mean? Like,
Well, I mean that because you said that the difference between the Hanfu and the Tang outfits is that in the videos that you showed, it's more kind of professional makeup, whereas maybe for the sort of the popular Hanfu movement, they don't go to they don't get professional kind of makeup or hairstyles or things like that. It's not quite as that the performers are paying more attention maybe to the makeup.
okay, I get it. Yeah. So I think for the movement, they do the makeup by themselves, by the like the audiences, like the fans themselves. But this kind of video, I think it's more like video production. It's more like we see the TV. If you gonna produce a TV show, you would like to invite all the kinds of the professional person and to do the professional thing. It's kind of like that. Yeah, because I don't think they want like audiences to judge like they're unprofessional with this like unrelated with music things. Yeah.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, good, thank you. Let's see, are there other questions
Thank
or
you.
comments from the audience? I don't see any more from the chat. Let me see, maybe I can give, if either of the presenters, we still have a little bit of time, if either of them wanted to mention any parts of their research that they didn't have a chance to talk about in the limited time of their presentation. Any extra points? They were both pretty comprehensive, I think, but no, nothing special. No, okay. Well, if not, then let's thank both of our presenters for very nice discussions and their comments today. Even though we only had two presenters, I think we had a very spirited hour and 15 minutes today, or about an hour, I guess. So yeah, so I think if there aren't any other questions or comments, we can